Yes, time to get back onto the elephant in the room. I'm getting sick of talking about this, honestly. I'm sure everyone else is. We just want an end to this saga. But we need to get into it. I'll go into Isak's statement of what he said the other night. So, here we go. This dropped. The lads all put it in my WhatsApp group chat. I seen it a little bit after. I was with family. We're watching Bond. I seen it after. But he's when I'm proud to be recognised by my fellow pros with a place in the PFA Premier League Team of the Season 2024-25. First and foremost, I want to thank my teammates and everyone at Newcastle United who has supported me along the way. I'm not at the ceremony tonight. It didn't feel right to be there. I've kept quiet for a long time. While others have spoken, the silence has allowed people to push their own version of events, even though they know it doesn't reflect what was really said and agreed behind closed doors. The reality is that promises were made, and the club has known my position for a long time. To now act as if the issues are only emerging is misleading. When promises are broken and trust is lost, the relationship can't continue. That's where things are for me right now, and why change is in the best interest of everyone and not just myself. So, what do I take from that? Well, yes, he acknowledges his teammates and everyone at Newcastle United. I'm guessing he means Eddie Howe in that, but you know what? It feels like a sense of it's me. It's about me. The PFA Awards went on. It's about not just yourself. It's about your fellow professionals. He's made it all about himself. He hasn't actually done an interview where he could put things to a bit more context. But I think, is it cowardly? Because he's not wanting to be tripped up in an actual interview. And that post as well on Instagram, it's the M dash at the end of his post that shows it's AI. So he's not even like bothered enough to write it himself. It's AI. Now, could it be his agent telling him to put it out there, trying to stabilise before the Liverpool game, or try and rock the boat a bit more because it was turned into a positive, how our windows went? We've obviously got Ramsdale in, Alanga, we've got Chow, we've got Ramsey, so it was looking positive, but now the narrative is back on Alexander Isak. But yeah, doing it on social media, and you know what, it just feels like a sense of entitlement. It seems a sense of arrogance. He'd be perfect for Liverpool in those respects. And it is cowardly posting it on social media. Do an interview, sit down, like taking out his points here. He hasn't even thanked the fans. We done the Tifo display from last season, calling him Alexander the Great. He hasn't even thanked us. That's all of us fans who work full time and put all our hard-earned money into watching the club, not just at home, but having to travel miles away based on where we are situated in England geographically. We travel the most miles of any fan base. The miles were travelled, the shirts were bought with Isak on the back, and that's his thanks for her. He's just chucked it back into her face. The disrespect he's shown his teammates, because he wouldn't have got all the goals, 27 in all comps last season, if it wasn't for Jacob Murphy, especially. How must Jacob Murphy be feeling? Alanga's come in, and now he's done this to his international teammate. Bruno made his feelings known, were captain straight after that. It wasn't a coincidence Bruno posted himself in the Newcastle top not long after Isak done that post. That's our captain. That's someone who gets her and respects her and understands what the fans go through. That's a man who's passionate, who cares, who's got emotional intelligence. But yeah, it's disrespect for Eddie Howe. Look, a player still has to put the effort in to get the level to do. But Eddie Howe brought him here. Other clubs saw him, didn't take a chance on him. We brought him here, put him on the Premier League stage and give him 120 or 150, whatever he's on a week. And yes, it's got to be about greed, because where I've kept quiet for a long time, he said, while others have spoken. The silence has allowed people to push their own version of events, even though they know it doesn't reflect what really was said and agreed behind closed doors. Well, sorry, but whatever was agreed behind closed doors, I'm not saying nothing was discussed or agreed. Of course it would have been. But when it's not put into a contract in writing, it means absolutely nothing. It means nothing. Look, I've been in jobs before, not my current one, because they do go through the correct process in terms of pay rises, but I've been in previous jobs before where it's all lip service. They'll go, oh, we're going to give you a pay rise, you've been fantastic, this and that. It hasn't transpired. Do I like it? No. Could I get more if I wanted to elsewhere? Yes. Is that just the world we live in and it's tough shit? Yes. And sorry, Alex, but if you haven't put it in writing, then At the end of the day, it means absolutely nothing under law. And another thing as well, if he was so unhappy at being here, if he saw it was a stepping stone when he signed, why did he sign a 6-year contract without a release clause? However, think of it that way. If you really saw it as a stepping stone, and that if you got your game to the next level, if you had that much confidence in yourself, you would have got a release clause inserted, then no one would have any complaints. I've said this before, I've got no complaints with his ambition. Liverpool are the biggest club in this country. His ambition is perfectly fine. But I've said there's a right way of going about it. He's been selfish, he's been entitled, he's been a brat, he's been arrogant in this statement and his behaviour. I mean, going AWOL without the club's permission, like, that's mental. And then apparently it's the club's decision that he is training not with the main squad, so that is a club decision. That's not his decision, where he's coming in at about 3 p.m. each day. But like, he's just actions and behaviour. Like, there's a right way of going about it. You go, look, I want to move on. I feel it's the right time. I'll get my head down. I'll honour my contract, because he's still here till 2028. Honour your contract, and then when the right bid comes in, we can either reject it, accept it, or we can compromise what you do. You never accept the first offer on anything. When you're on holiday, someone goes, say that's 20 euros, you think it's 10. You offer 10, and then you try and meet them at the middle. That's called a compromise, and that hasn't happened yet. In other parts of his statement as well, where is it? When promises are broken and trust is lost, the relationship can't continue. That's where things for me are right now, and changes in the best interest of everyone. So he's saying that trust lost, promises are broken. So I'm assuming that he means that maybe it was Amanda Staveley. So if I'm getting this timeline right, Amanda Staveley is promised him a new contract. She's then left because reasons that are unknown. And then you have Paul Mitchell coming in. Paul Mitchell's went, look, for PSR reasons, we can't give you that. You've still got your contract for, say, it was last summer when he came in, there's still 4 years left. You're being handsomely paid compared to the everyday working man like myself. And then he's got the hump of that. But then he said nothing on it. He's continued to banning 27 goals in all competitions, win with the League Cup, help us qualify for the Champions League, be buzzing when his mate Alanga's come in, told him to sign for the club. He's went to Austria, and then when Liverpool's bids come in, he's suddenly unhappy, and he's saying he informed the club of his decision ages ago. Well, I'm sorry, there's evidence I've just said there to the contrary. You've won with the League Cup, you were all smiles. You were all smiles on the last day of the season when he said apparently that he told Eddie Howe, allegedly, that he was leaving before he went back to Sweden after the Everton defeat. He's told the club that he wanted to leave, but well, why you told Alanga to come here? Why do you do the heart emojis on Instagram when you were buzzing that he signed? Like, lots of these things don't add up. He hasn't made any indication. Yes, he was pretty poor after the cup final. I think he only scored, 4 or 5 goals? But that might have been his injury. It might have been that he thought if he didn't put in the effort, we didn't get Champions League, that it'd be easier for him to be sold to a club like Liverpool or elsewhere. But just, there's no evidence to show that he's wanted to leave. My friends at Magpie 24/7 posted a video yesterday. The Sweden camp, straight after the cup final, he went, people know my situation. I love the city. I like the city. I like the fans. I'm content there. I'm happy. Everyone knows that the goal is we've won the cup and we've got to keep pushing the rest of the season and qualify for the Champions League. He says he likes it here, he loves the club, loves the city, loves the fans. That doesn't sound like to me someone who back in March had made their mind up that they wanted to leave. So it's just loads of evidence to the contrary that he's making this up to try and suit his narrative. Now, the club came out with their statement 2 hours after. It was about 11:30, 20 to 12, and they said, we are disappointed to have been alerted to a social media post by Alexander Isak this evening. We are clear in response that Alex is under contract and that no commitment has ever been made by a club official that Alex can leave Newcastle United this summer. We want to keep our best players, but we also understand players have their own wishes and we listen to their views. As explained to Alex and his representatives, we must always take into consideration the best interests of Newcastle United, the team and our supporters in all decisions, and we have been clear that the conditions of a sale this summer have not transpired. we do not foresee those conditions being met. This is a proud football club with proud traditions, and we strive to retain our family feel. Alex remains a part of our family and will be welcomed back when he's ready to rejoin his teammates. So, you know what? Newcastle United there, the club, have been strong, they've been firm, they've been fair, but they've also been the more mature and bigger of the two here because they've left the door open for him. Despite everything he's done this summer, despite going AWOL, disrespecting his teammates, disrespecting Eddie Howe, disrespecting the badge, disrespecting us as fans, the club have still put out a firm but fair statement and left the door open for him that if a sale doesn't transpire, and that's it, the club have even said, look, there has been a bid from Liverpool, we all know that, but they haven't said we're not, they've said we are receptive to a bid, that they're not saying it's out of the question, but they've said that the conditions of a sale have to be met. And that is getting not just Johan Wissa, who's not an Isak replacement, he's a Wilson replacement. We need Wissa, or it might be Strand Larson, who we've apparently bid for today. And Wolves want, surprise, surprise, £60 million. But they all know we're desperation and they're playing on that. But that's a situation we found ourselves in. But until we get Wissa, it's another striker in, plus the meat or valuation of £150 million. He's going nowhere, and I stand by that. I've had Liverpool fans, even though there was that news article saying they've got the lowest IQ in the world for football fans. Shock, shock, not really. They said, oh, 150 million's too much. It's not. He's got 3 years left in his contract, and the way like Casado and some other players especially have went this summer, especially Shesko and like Ekatike, I'm sorry, but Isak's worth way more than those players. And the fact that with inflation and the price of the market, it just dictates he is worth £150 million. Yes, if he stays and then he ends up going in January or next summer, whether he plays or not, his value will have depreciated, especially if we haven't turned him round. He's agreed new terms and there's not a like an extended contract or a release clause inserted. Of course, his value will have depreciated. But as it stands in this window, if they want him, we need 2 strikers in and they need to pay £150 million. It's as simple as that. Look, I'm fine with them going. No problem, I've said, with ambition, but those conditions have to be met, and the club have said they do not foresee that happening. So that's it. That's it. He's got to like it or lump it. He signed a contract without getting the release clause, so he's going nowhere unless that's met. But I just love the club statement. I put 4 black and white hearts, like 2 black, 2 white on their post, just basically just saying, I love this club. They've stood firm, and for once, player power is not going to win. If we stand firm after that inflammatory statement from him on Instagram, this is a victory for football. This is a victory for clubs, that for once, player power will not win. But to me, Alexander Isak's behaviour is disappointing after everything his teammates, the fans and Eddie Howe was giving him. And yes, he could be listening to his agent, but I've said this lots of times before in these videos. He's his own man, he's got his own mind. And I just feel his inflammatory comments just show him to be very petulant, very childish. And it's one last roll of the dice. He's realised that his timing of this all, after Liverpool have signed Ekatike, Man U have signed Shesko, Chelsea have signed Delap and Pedro. Like, I just feel it's one of these where he's realised his timing's all wrong. Liverpool don't really value him as much as he thought they did. And it's one last desperate roll of the dice to try and force his way out the club. But he's going up against the wrong people in the Saudis and that. The giants in every industry they're in, and you just won't win against that power. And Liverpool have shot themselves in the foot, haven't they? If they let we get Ekatike rather than trying to do this power play, look, they might end up with them both anyway next summer. But as it stands, they've shot themselves in the foot getting Ekatike, and now they haven't got Isak because not willing to pay £150 million. And I've got no sympathy for either of them. You know what's the most damning thing for Alexander Isak? The fact that Stan Collymore, Simon Jordan, Gabriel Igbonlahor and even Ollie Holt have come out in defence of the club and slated him for his actions. I mean, that says everything. They've been openly vocal against us or the ownership, and they will be again going forward. But the fact that you've got prominent journalists and ex-pros calling him out, it just shows how wrong his actions are. And I think his anger's misplaced. look, at the end of the day, it's like Brentford. Until they get a replacement for Wissa or accept something they think is his value, then he's going nowhere to us. And it's just like us with Isak. We can charge what we like for Isak, but until we get a replacement, and we've stressed this before, Wissa is not a replacement for Isak, though when he comes in, if an offer comes in, if we get Wissa that we think's acceptable and we just want his attitude and bad behaviour out of the club so we can just all move on and stop this cloud hanging over the club, yes, we might just consider that Wissa will have to do and we'll use Gordon as a striker this season, or even like interchange the front three just so Isak's gone, then we've got the money to reinvest. We might consider that, but the club have been firm in their stance. His inflammatory statement on social media, it'll just mean the club will stand firm. And until we get a Wissa and a replacement for Isak in, and Liverpool bid £150 million, he's going nowhere. But Isak's worth £150 million with 3 years left. I know his attitude and Liverpool's media tactics are designed to try and weaken our position and erode his transfer value. But £150 million, what you have to pay this summer. Yes, if it gets to January or next summer, if he's still here, whether he's played or not, I really wouldn't advise that in the World Cup year. We're not playing. Would he really want to sit in the sidelines? Might come to a compromise and he gets his head down, apologises, dumps his agent, who's looking for one final payday before retirement, and then just cracks on, scores goals. Yes, we won't forgive him, but we'll put up with it if it fires we're back to the Champions League or another trophy. But yeah, I'm sorry, but it might come to next summer and then he's worth less if he hasn't signed an extension or inserted a release clause. But until that happens, it's £150 million, Liverpool fans, like it or lump it. And even this, Stefan Borsen, yous are all quoting the FIFA Article 17, but I'm sorry, Articles 1, 16 and 22, I'll put it on the screen now because I can't remember it off by heart and I didn't note it down, shows that it blocks any movement that Isak could hope to exploit in that article if he wanted to go to a non-English Premier League club. And FA rules that govern our league means he can't just pay off his contract, because it would be what's he still owed, about £20 million there or thereabouts. And then I think the fine would also include whatever his transfer value is worth. And if Liverpool wanted to bid 120 million, that would take to 140 million pounds, which means the club could rinse him for all his past earnings, current and future earnings. So it would bankrupt him. So forget that, Liverpool fans. It's not happening. But anyway, just before I finish, the Nottingham Forest game, 5th of October, it's been moved to the Sunday at 2 p.m. kickoff. So that's one for your calendars if you need to change them around. But that's it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this, please like the video. Please do comment with your thoughts and any feedback. I'd love to interact with you. And if you do want more of the same content dropping in your inbox, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and my socials. If you keep subscribing, it'll grow the channel and it means you'll get more dropping in your inbox. My next target's 450 and then the round 500, the magical 500. It'd be great to get to that before the end of the season. But anyway, take care. Thank you so much. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your working week and enjoy your bank holiday weekend. I'll upload both videos on Wissa and the Isak situation separately. But for now, take care. Bye.